Valve decides, all right, here's all the Steam boxes for you to buy. So more information to come later down the pipeline once Valve decides to release all the information on that system. So,
nerd.
Yes, I don't care. Do also keep a note out there for you 360 and PS3 goers out there. Games with Gold this year, for this month, we'll actually have 3 games out there. Especially right now, you can get Dark Souls 1, which everyone should at least play, even though it's a very challenging game. It's a fair but challenging and great game to be out there, and you have it for free right now. PlayStation Plus as well will be getting 3 games as well in June, so do keep an eye out for that. Xbox One just started up with their Games with Gold, so they have Halo Spartan Assault, if I'm not mistaken, and I can't remember the other one as well out there. But that started up, so keep an eye out for that. Also, a little bit of sad news, but interesting that it's lasted this long. Actually, Sony is now ceasing production on the PSP in Japanese markets in the beginning of June of 2014. Sorry, at the end of the Rising Sun, the PSP, which is now, since originally shown at E3 back in 2003, is now ceasing production and shipping on it. It's surprising how long it's lasted over there. Of course, it's been years now since it's ceased production over here in the United States, but surprising that over there it's still continued, I guess because of the games that were coming out as well and just the cheap price. And again, right now they're trying to push, obviously, their next iteration of it, which is the PlayStation Vita, which was launched back in 2012. So they do have a exchange rate program that you can, of course, trade in your old PSP for a new PS Vita as well to upgrade for that. So.
You never hear too much about the Vita, though. That's the thing. It's just like,
that's
anybody
the sad thing
ever who's using this? I mean, to me, it more like either mobile gaming. Would
exactly. It's geared for especially that mobile game. It's like, hey, this is a lot better gaming for people that don't want to use their cell phones, and they're also competing as well with Nintendo and working with the 3DS at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But the sad thing is like when they announced this back in 2012, and it's like, hey, we got all these games come out, and then there was like nothing for the Vita, and there was almost little to no support. Right now, the biggest support for the PlayStation Vita is the Japanese market. So if you want a lot of Japanese-style games, and especially like that, PlayStation Vita has it. But also PlayStation Plus membership does have it where old classic games, like the PlayStation 1 games, like all the Final Fantasies, you can download it both on your PlayStation 3 and 4, and then have it cross-played over to your Vita. So they have Vita cross-plays they can do with that.
That's cool.
They've been trying to do especially a little bit of cross-play, cross-platform, especially with the PlayStation 4 and the Vita itself, but only a few instances where that happens. But still, it's actually a pretty good system for a mobile device. Just wish it got a little bit more love and attention to it, because everyone that I've listened to, talked to that has a Vita enjoys it. But they say the same thing. I just wish there was more games.
And it's never advertised at all either. It's
not
either
really.
PlayStation 4 or...
PlayStation 4, yeah. Last time I remember, sadly, advertisement for the PlayStation portable system was like the PSP, and they tried to do that Marcus campaign.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same thing where they would do in line with the PlayStation 3 when you had... And I cannot remember his name right now off the top of my head, where the guy would make jokes. He'd be like... what was his name? We saw PlayStation commercials. You'd be like, back in my day, she used to play with a stick. But I want to watch my TV. A stick. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know the guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's a comedian.
Don't know the name, but...
I can't remember off the top of my head for the love of it, but hilarious commercials. But they try to do the same thing with a young kid for the PlayStation portable system, and it just didn't take off. I just remember the kid's name was Marcus, and it was like, oh yeah, Marcus, hip, cool guy. I'm going to tell you how I believe these games. I'm like, yeah, because everybody relates to a spoiled, rich little kid that has every video game known to mankind. So,
okay.
Actually, a little bit of interesting news, and especially comes from the Valve's released information. Coming up to the Dota 2 International, we've just got an updated confirmation on its prize pool for the winners of Dota 2, especially since of them releasing the compendium, and part of the proceeds from buying the compendium in-game will go to the prize pool for the International. How would you guys like to win a whopping $8 million for winning the International?
Yes!
Exactly.
Second.
As first shown with the Dota 2 International going back in 2011, that was originally $1 million prize pool. This now gotten up to about $8 million, still probably the largest amount that we've seen in an esports franchise, especially out there. Though we'll look to, obviously, that being on July 18th through the 21st in Seattle at the Key Arena. So I imagine look through if you want to watch it live, streamcast. Twitch will probably have a channel right there you can watch through, or especially you can watch it through the Dota 2 game client itself. So keep looking out for that, and trust me, if you ever want to see a high-level play of Dota, International is a really good one to keep an eye on. Excuse me here while I'm looking through all my notes. We also did get an announcement from Square Enix that Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5 Remix, God, that's a long title, for PS3 will be coming later this year for North America, which is fantastic. These are the HD remixes of Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. And these are the Japanese final remixes, so basically the updated versions. So that's also great to know.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Why are they still making games for PS3? Wouldn't they be...
You would think, especially to push for the PlayStation 4 because it's the newer technology.
But my thoughts, yeah. It'd be like, okay, let's phase out PS3, but instead you have Borderlands, prequel, sequel.
The prequel, sequel, and then now. Yeah. The idea, especially right now, is that think about how many installed users there are right now, how many PlayStation 4s have sold in comparison to PlayStation 3s. So it's smarter to still be making, right now, at this current point, to still have games out there for the PlayStation 3, because not many have transitioned over, and they're still in the market. So
forcing that hand early could end up making somebody jump ship and maybe switch markets.
Yeah. Plus, who knows, maybe down the line they may have an adoption system later that will allow PlayStation 4 to play PlayStation 3 games.
Backwards compatibility, damn
You
it.
would think,
please,
they do have the
please.
They are still working on the Gaikai network, which was supposed to be basically their kind of streaming service that you could pay to, of course, play PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 1 games. So,
I mean, I see myself, hopefully by Christmas, by some Christmas miracle, getting a PS4. But I'm hoping it has that backwards compatibility and that there's
you
a
keep
better
praying
price
on that, and you would, but unfortunately,
maybe just that one game that I'm just gonna,
Yeah, that's the sad thing is if you just buy the console just for one game, it's like, is that really justified?
No, but if you could, if I listen to the Game Genie report and he tells me about some cool games that are coming out for PS4.
I'm trying to. We're gonna see. Well, I mean, we did just get announced as well.
Boy.
We did just get announced that there's going to be another Mortal Kombat X.
That's my man.
Or Mortal Kombat 10, shall we say.
Oh, yeah.
What we say? Right now, there's just a release trailer right now for it where we have awesome Sub-Zero and Scorpion beating the crap out of each other in a dark...
I'm so sold.
beating the crap out of each other in a dark forest. That's about all you have. It looks it looks in-game, but we can't really determine. It's just a release trailer, but I don't care. I damn want it. Since after the last one was actually really good, so... Another interesting note out there, Bohemian Interactive actually just released a kart racing DLC add-on for their game Arma 3. This is a military simulation shooter on the PC. Originally, this started out as an April Fool's gag with a trailer showing off Van Damme riding, standing on top of two go-karts as they slowly move apart from each other as he does a split.
Wasn't that like a Super Bowl commercial one year, too, when you had the Volvo tractor trailers or something like that?
It was kind of like
same
that.
idea. Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of the same idea where they had it where as a military shooter, they were thinking the next evolution in the Arma series, go-kart racing. And everybody was like, this is actually funny. Why don't you actually do it? And they're like, okay, we'll put it in the game. So there is a 20 horsepower 4-stroke engine go-kart that you can download, as well as a go-kart drivable player, martial character, time trials, and achievements that go along with the game. The add-on itself is only for $1.99, and all the sales proceeds from the DLC actually go to the Czech Red Cross division, actually. So... Buy the DLC, support the Red Cross in the Czech Republic. So, and let me go on my notes. I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit slow. On a very interesting note here, and makes me very excited. Sorry, guys, I have to make sure I cover up everything. Konami has given the green light to a fan-made remake of the 1987 Metal Gear game.
I did hear about this.
I'm really excited for this because any of those who actually were able to play it, again, this originally came out on the MSX and then ported over to the regular Nintendo system. Really good game, especially if you get to. Very hard and very outdated control scheme, unfortunately, by today's standards, but this started basically Kojima's start into the Metal Gear franchise. The team name behind it is Outer Haven. kind of play on words to where you play in. They're looking at a Steam release game, but they're looking to make the gameplay very similar to Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 2 with that top-down perspective look of the game and kind of isometric version of it. The agreement is that they can make the remake of the game. They have the license to it, but they cannot make a profit from the reincarnation or accept donations for the production. So it's a little bit of a caveat that it's like, I guess it's the way to get around copyright issues. It's like, sure, you can do this, but you realize as fans, so no, you can't make money.
But it's a hobby.
Yeah, basically.
Really?
So it's a hobby. You can do it that there. But then again, this is at least nice that it's like, hey, Metal Gear game, at least brought up to today's standards, and nice to see a envision of it. But we did see originally something similar to this, where fans tried to recreate games before. Like there was the Chrono Trigger incident, where fans tried to recreate the original Chrono Trigger game and bring it up to today's standards, but then Square Enix caught wind of it and cease and desisted it, unfortunately. So at least these guys went ahead and said, hey, Konami, we're looking to do this. Can we do it? And Konami's like, yeah, go ahead, sure. So really excited to see how that goes. And a little bit of interesting news to kind of move along to it, and I think this could go into Brian's actually thing here. Relating also to Metal Gear as well.
Yeah, I was just about to stumble, yeah.
You want to take this away?
No, because I figured you might take down some news about it, so it's
sure.
okay. Yeah.
So
I'll let you have this one.
All right. So we found out a little bit more information on the Metal Gear Solid movie. We found out Sony Pictures has just released information that now has a director, one Jordan, I know I'm going to mess this up, and I'm sorry, Volk Roberts, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you got it right, yeah.
Okay. He directed recently The Kings of Summer, which was at Sundance Film Festival. Very more of independent kind of style film, and does a couple commercials in there from reading Becca's history. But as well, this has been in development since 2012, where Hideo Kojima and got together with producer Avi Arad.
Are you familiar with that name?
Oh, that one I'm not actually. I'm sorry.
He is. He's really big in the not Marvel Studios, Marvel Productions, dating all the way back to like the old Spider-Man and all of the newer stuff as well, though, too.
Yeah, because he was looking to do, obviously, because he's big into, obviously, comic book adaptation. He said that looking into video games and seeing that as being the modern-day comic book adaptation. And, of course, Metal Gear Solid is a very big, ambitious project, I would say, especially being a big fan of that series, where, let's be honest, there are cutscenes in the game, especially in Metal Gear Solid 4, where people would go off on expedition, where a cutscene will last an hour in length. So I don't know how they're going to transition that to the big screen, where, let's be honest, where characters like to go on expositions on I can't even speak today, philosophy and ideology, on especially in cutscenes that last minutes in length. So I don't know how they're going to cut that down and just make it an action oriented, because especially Metal Gear is known for being stealth tactical game where you go around taking enemies out with these high philosophies, and it's a military fantasy game especially. And I'm very excited because I'm like, awesome, one of my favorite franchises coming to the big screen. But I'm also very concerned because I'm like, how can you take something that's already kind of like precise, and especially how the story is lined up and how they set up and how confusing, especially if you try to go with the story. Like, there's even now people try to figure out, how do the patriots who run basically all the U.S. government behind the scenes still work with today's world and future technology and the world economy, and trying to figure it out as a cluster quack of it all. But
I think this falls into the problem of video game and movie adaptations.
Yeah.
Hello, Super Mario Bros.
Which I will talk about later. I have some news for you
so
too, also.
But I mean,
this sounds like very complicated.
It is, because I'm just trying to figure out. It's not going to end up like, if I'm looking like, all right, if you're going to take a straight adaptation of Metal Gear Solid 1, do Shadow Moses the whole way through, Solid Snake taking on Dead Cell. No, not Dead Cell. Nerds, yeah, laugh at me. Taking on Old Foxhound. Great, that'd be amazing. But you're trying to take a 15-hour game into a, let's say, 2.5-hour movie. So
unless they plan on doing a trilogy of some kind, but they have to knock the first one out of the park in order.
Yeah, basically they're gonna have to knock the first one out of the park for you to keep coming back. And it's like, I mean, if you want to go do the Shadow Moses incident, awesome, because that would be a great place to start out with, because